Hello, everybody, and I hope you can all hear me. And just to very briefly introduce you to tonight's speaker, it is the fabulous business owner, CORA McEwen. And I'm sure CORA won't mind me saying that when I announced that it was going to be CORA doing the webinar tonight, you're a lot of people's heroes and role models out there, including myself. So I don't want to take up any time because I know you've got some very valuable information to share with us here tonight. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to CORA.
Thank you very much, Lucy. Wow, I feel very honoured. Honestly, I never understand why anybody wants to hear from me. I also feel very privileged to be able to pay something back to this group, particularly to Jane Leach, who I've had so much support from. So, yeah, if I can give anything back here, then if anybody just takes one thing away from this call, then I'll feel good about repaying the debt that I owe Jane Leach and the QLS group. So I'll just share a little bit about my background, take you away from that and give you this pretty picture of me. That's me with naturally curly hair. It's not permed, I promise. But anyway, I just want to share my story but also I want to share particularly what's happened in the last couple of years, because I've had massive growth in myself in the last couple of years, and that's basically what's grown the business. But I'll start at the beginning, and I think it's really important to give you the beginning because I had some serious challenges in this business. In the beginning, I was not very good at this business. So I really want to help you understand what the beginning was like so that you can maybe relate to a bit of it, or see how if you can start with the beginning like I did, you can still succeed. So anyway, I used to be a nurse. My last job was managing the cardiology area at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge, which is where I live. I did have a brilliant career. I was really ambitious. But what I found was the more senior I got, the more political it all became, and my bubble got burst. At the time, Dan and I, my husband, were trying for a family, and I was under so much stress that I wasn't even managing to get pregnant, and the biological clock was ticking, and I started to panic because I thought this career is okay, but actually what is going to be more important for me is that we would really love a family. So I literally resigned from my NHS career with nothing to go to. I didn't have a job, just to focus on getting a family. And people thought I'd gone nuts. So it's not the first time I had people react strangely to me about decisions. But you've just got to follow your own gut feeling, and this was the right thing for us to do. And it took another 3 years from me resigning from that career until we finally got our son. So that was really heartbreaking time for us. We were really seriously struggling. You know, and I wasn't sure if we would ever get to be parents. We went through a massive roller coaster, and lots of people around us supported us, but there were some people around us that didn't. And you know, some of those people, you know, they made stupid statements like, well, if you never have a child, then well, you're just going to lead different lives to us. Your life's just going to take a completely different path to us. And that was just like a knife in my heart, because we really wanted a family. So we got our miracle boy, and we haven't been able to have any more children. So we just have appreciated every waking moment with this boy. And our son is called Ronan, and he's now 14. So that's him at 6 months old. And after we had him, we couldn't quite believe it, we chose for me to stay at home with him. So I continued to be away from my NHS career for 5 years until he started school. And in that 5 years, I had a ball. I loved every minute, but I lost all of my confidence. I mean, I had been running a cardiology unit, and oh wow, I mean, as our son started school, I felt this big kind of loss, because he'd been by my side for 5 years, and now he was going off to school every day. And I thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I've got to find something to do, because if I've got to find something else to fill that gap, it was almost like a little bereavement. And as he'd settled into school in the first year, I thought, right, I've got to put my energy into something else. I've got to find something else, and I've got to start bringing some extra money in, because we'd made a lot of sacrifices financially, giving up my income, and so we'd had to go without things, and I thought, we need some more money coming in. So I started to look for part-time flexible work around the school gates, and I got really, really discouraged, because it seemed you had to trade in time with the family to have a career, or you had to trade in a career to be with the family, and I really wanted both. I didn't want to just go and get any job to fit around the school gates. So that's when I came across Forever Living. I actually came into the business through the product. I was really ill for 6 months with a low immune problem, and my friend Debbie recommended the gel drink to me, and within 6 weeks my health was completely back on track. I was absolutely blown away by that drink. I thought it was amazing, and I was on that drink for 5 months and getting great result. Then I did a Google search for part-time flexible work, and I came up with this lady's website, and I went and met this lady in a hotel. She showed me a presentation of a business, and halfway through she showed me the products, and it was that drink, and I'm like, I'm already on that drink. And she's like, wow, where are you getting that from? I saw my friend Debbie. She said, has your friend Debbie ever shown you the business? I said, no, I didn't even know there was a business. So she said, well, I can carry on, because we have an etiquette in the business that if somebody is in communication with you about the business, I would have to step back. But obviously, if she hasn't shown you the business, I can carry on. So she carried on, and I joined her team. And I went back to my friend Debbie and said, wow, I'm so excited, I've joined your company. And her face completely dropped. So that's my first message to you, is somebody on your warm list is on somebody else's warm list. And if you're not talking to people that you know about the business, somebody else could be. And I can't begin to tell you the income every month that my sponsor earns just from my business, which she rightly deserves, because she was out there prospecting and finding people like me and other people that she's got in her team. So that could have been my friend Debbie. So I got started, and I got to supervisor really quickly in the first 8 weeks, and to be honest, that was just on sheer excitement. I didn't really know what I was doing. I did 7K's credits in my first month, and my sponsor said you could get to supervisor next month, and I thought, really? I didn't even know what that meant. And I just carried on doing what they said to do, which was just talking to people about the products and the business. And I recruited the first 4 people that I spoke to. That was amazing. I thought, this is a breeze. This is easy. I spoke to 4 people, and all 4 of them joined my team. And I got to supervisor. But what happened then was all the challenges started to set in, because I said to them in the beginning, what's the catch? I can build a 6-figure income working part-time flexible around the school gates, so what's the catch? They said, look, the company works, the product works, you've just got to do the work. And I got really excited, because I was brought up to work hard. But what I didn't understand was that this hard work was a different kind of hard work. It wasn't the same physical hard work that I'd been used to in the NHS, working 70 hours a week. And I started to realise that the hard work here was all about handling our emotions, handling the mindset. And the test of our success in this business is how we cope with that. It's whether we rise to the challenges, get over the hurdles, or whether we fall at the first hurdles. And it only takes 3 negative comments to blow most people out of this business in the beginning. And I had many more negative comments than that in the first few months of my business, and I stayed in, because when people tell me something doesn't work, that drives me to want to show them that it will. So that's quite good. In the beginning, I was driven by a lot of negative comments. I was driven by people's negativity to prove them wrong. So it doesn't really matter what's driving you, but what matters is that you're driven. So I got to supervisor in 8 weeks, and then all the challenges started to kick in. So I got stuck at supervisor for 10 months. And this is why. I couldn't cope with rejection. When people said no to me, I used to cry for about 3 days. I couldn't cope with the opinions, people prejudging what I was doing, and then me prejudging my warm list. So it made me very picky about who I would talk to. The first 4 people I spoke to joined my team, and then after that, I just couldn't recruit because I was just frozen in fear, frozen with the fear of worrying about what people would think and say. My husband Dan was quite anxious in those early days because obviously I got stuck at supervisor for 10 months, so he commented that the phone bill was going up, the petrol bill was rising, and he couldn't see the big income coming in. And I just asked him to step back. I told him that the big income was a 3 to 5 year plan, and if he trusted me, I just needed him to let me get on with it, and thankfully he did stand back. The other challenge that I had was my lack of taking responsibility for my business. So because I'd come from a heavily protected public service job where nobody takes responsibility, the biggest thing in the NHS is a total blame culture. So I'd been in that culture of blaming for 17 years. And then I came into Forever Living where they said you've got to stop blaming other people and you've got to start taking responsibility. That was crazy for me because that was the opposite of what I'd been used to. So I wasn't used to having to admit that if things went wrong in my NHS career that it was my fault. And in the first year of my Forever business, I didn't realise that the lack of growth of my business was down to me. And it was all to do with my own poor attitude, my own small thinking, well, really my own inability to take responsibility that was holding me back. I really thought everybody else was the problem, and I had to learn to take the hits. I had to learn to play a part or understand that I was playing a part of what was going wrong. And I had to start thinking, what can I do differently to change this and make it better and learn from it? The other challenge was, at the end of my first year, I'd got a little team going. I'd recruited some new people and I'd got a little team going. But I kind of looked after these people like I was Mother Teresa. And I really mean Mother Teresa. I mean, I would spend hours and hours and hours and hours with these people in my team. I used to go back and I used to go back and I used to go back again. And we'd have these amazing planning meetings where they got really, really excited. And then they'd say, oh, that's it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And then we'd walk away and then they didn't do anything. And I'd go back and then they didn't do anything again. And then I'd go back again. I mean, I had a friend of mine and it was a 3-hour round trip. I used to go to help her, and she consistently finished the month on 1.5k's credits. And I must have had about 7 planning meetings in a row where I travelled a 3-hour round trip to go and help her, and consistently she finished on 1.5k's credits every month. And I used to keep going back because I thought, well, maybe they're not moving forward because I'm not showing them properly, and maybe if I just go back one more time, they'll do it this time. Or maybe they just need me to go and try and motivate them. Oh my gosh, I wasted so much time working with the wrong people. And the other thing was that when they told me they wanted it, I actually believed them. And that was a bit gullible, because what I've learned is that they can't keep telling me they want it. They've got to show us that they want it. And the only way that they can show us is by action. The thing I learnt then was that these people would continue to take my time whether they were going to do the work or not. You know, if I was in touch with them and said, right, I'll pop over, let's have another planning, they didn't think, oh, I better not take Cora's time again because, quite honestly, I'm not going to follow through with what I say I'm going to do, so I'll say no to Cora. No, they would like, yeah, come over. And then they'd take my time again, and then they never did anything with the information. So this was actually my biggest challenge in my journey to manager, was that I was Mother Teresa. In fact, my upline told me once I was too nice. That's what she said to me. The reason your business isn't growing is because you're too nice. And I thought, well, I don't want to be a horrible person to build a successful business, so how am I going to get the balance? And I'm going to share with you how I did. So I learned back then that they haven't got to tell you that they want it, they've got to move on and do the activity. So I got over all these challenges by doing just one thing, and that was going to the trainings. The one thing I got right in the first year of my career was I was a brilliant student. I read over 30 books in my first year in this business around network marketing, leadership, aloe vera, and And what I noticed was that my knowledge base was growing rapidly, and it was overtaking the knowledge base of people around me who'd been in the company even a lot longer than I'd been in the company. And they would start asking me things, and I'd be like, well, how do I know that? And they don't. And then I realized that I actually speeded up my own learning. That was actually by accident, because I didn't realise you've got to be a good student to succeed in Forever at that time. But for me, it was a security thing. The reason I read 30 books in my first year was because I felt more confident with the knowledge. For me, I just don't like working blindly, and I want to have that knowledge so that I can talk with confidence. So it had a really, really positive effect without me even realising. And I attended all the trainings, and I think in the time I've been in Forever, I've only missed about 6 success days, and you know, we have to be at the success day. It's just, if people want to get to manager, I've not met one person who's succeeded in getting to manager without consistently attending the success days. So I was at all the trainings, and what I learned was that it wasn't just what the training would do for me, it was what the training would do for my team. But because I was operating like Mother Teresa, my team members would say to me, yeah, I can't make the success day this week, but yeah, maybe we can get together next week and you can tell me all about it. And I'd be like, yeah, okay. They'd say they couldn't come because they were getting their hair done. And I'd say, don't worry, what I'll do is I'll make loads of notes, and then let's get together next week and I'll talk you through it. I used to meet them the following week trying to recreate the success day. So for about the first 18 months of my career in Forever Living, I literally went to the success day on my own. I never ever had team members with me, because I was too scared to suggest that they basically put themselves out to be there. I used to think that if I pushed them to go to the success day, that they'll leave my team. And I didn't want to be pushy. And I thought, if I ask them to spend £25 on a Success Day ticket, they'll leave my team. If I ask them to drive 3 hours to a Success Day, they'll leave my team. If I ask them to be away from their family for a day on a Saturday, they'll leave my team. So these were all the reasons why I didn't push for them to be at the Success Day. And then I would meet them the following week to try and recreate what went on at the Success Day. Is it any wonder I got stuck at supervisor for 10 months? Because how can I recreate the Success Day or any other significant training like QLS days? You just can't recreate them. So I went to a training about 12 months into my business, and it was Diana Page who spoke, and she said that you have to get to a point in your business where you accept that you can't work with people who are not serious. And how you measure whether they're serious or not is that they have to be demonstrating 4 case credits, they have to be attending the company trainings, mainly the Success Day. And I'd heard this before, but I just thought, yeah, okay. But this time I must have been in the right place. They say that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And this particular day, I must have been in the right place, because I left that training and thought, right, this is it. This is it. I've got to make some changes, because I'm run ragged and I'm not getting anywhere. And I was stuck at supervisor doing 18 case credits with a bunch of people in my team that just weren't serious. So I came away from that. And there were only 3 people in my team at that time that were doing 4 case credits, and I contacted them and said I want a meeting. I got them together, we met in a local hotel, and I said, this is the story, I'm only going to work with serious people. It's the people who are 4 case credit active and attending the trainings. You've got to be at the Success Day, you've got to be at this, you've got to be at that. Are you in or are you out? And all 3 of them said they were in. And that was amazing, because together, the 4 of us, we took that business in less than 10 months, started the year at 18 case credits, got it up to 33 case credits, and by the end of that year, the 4 of us had got that whole business up to 180 case credits. My open business hit 180 case credits by the November of that year. And that was mind-blowing, and that was the beginning of me understanding that you have to take responsibility, you have to ignore the rejection, and you just have to do the activity, let go of the outcome, and the results come in. And not only that, but you have to coach the serious people in your team to do the same. So got to manager in that journey and understood the power behind working with the right people. Getting to manager really was an apprenticeship. It was a steep learning curve full of light bulb moments, and it made me understand where I needed to spend my time. So I set this criteria where I'd only work with people that were 4 case credit active. Now, at the time, it felt a really harsh criteria because remember, I've gone from being Mother Teresa to now setting a criteria. And I realised that actually, when you've shown somebody how to do 4 case credits, to suggest that you will give them your time if they follow through with that is reasonable, because at the end of the day, you've shown them how to do it. It's not like you're asking them to do it blindly. You've worked with them to show them how. And then if they don't implement it, it just means they're not ready. And then you can just say to them, the door's open when you're ready. And let them come back to you when they're ready. Simple. And I've had lots of people in my team that have not been ready and then suddenly sprung into action and got to manager. And it's purely because it's been the right time for them. So what I've learned is 80% of this business is about mindset. It's all about handling the roller coaster. It's all about how you handle your own attitude. It's all about how you wake up in the morning and channel your brain into thinking success or not. And, you know, energy breeds energy, people buy people. This is a people magnet business. And, you know, we have to be 20% more excited than we normally are. And if we get out of bed in plum mode, which stands for poor little old me, victim, which is where I spent the first year of my business in forever, our business doesn't move forward, because whilst we're blaming other people and we're in victim role, taking responsibility. So I learned that attitude was everything, and not to count the hours that we're investing into our business, because it's the hours that is going to pay us back later. And also, I learned that Forever Living are an amazing company to work with. It's a very, very special company, but they don't get everything right. They're not perfect, but what I've also learned is that even if something goes wrong in Forever, they'll do their utmost to resolve it rapidly. And that's really important. You have to be on the company's side. You've got to support the company. You've got to be loyal to the company and understand that they're doing their best. So I learned that we don't just stop at 4 case credits. This was a big light bulb moment for me, because I'm very literal. And in the first year of my business, I used to do 4 case credits by about the 10th day of the month. And then I didn't do any more because I thought I've done my 4. And then I went to a training and they said, you don't stop at 4, you do 6 or 8 or 10. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've just been doing 4 and then going back to these few people in my team that weren't doing any, trying to get them to do their 4. Why don't I just put those people to one side and I'll do more? And the following month I did 12, and the month after that I did 15 personal, and that's how I got to assistant manager. That's how I got my 18 case credit month up to a base month for assistant manager, because instead of me doing 4.01 case credits, I did 12. I did the work of 3 people. That's how you take responsibility. That's how you can move your own business on. That's how you can build a business where you're not waiting or relying on anybody else. I used to say that I didn't have time to do the business in the beginning, and then I learned that you have to make time. And to make time, I decided to get up earlier and go to bed later. I also learned that some people that say no to you, it's not no, it's just yes later. And this has happened to me a lot in my business, where it's just, again, been a timing thing. The people that I've really wanted to work with, who've put me to one side, and then even 3-4 years later have come back to me and said, right, you know, let me talk to you again about this business. I'm telling you, you see, I always think that if I hadn't stayed in this business, those people that keep popping back, and more of them are popping back now, if I wasn't still here running this business, they'd have nowhere to pop back to. So you owe it to your network to stay in this business, because there will be a time when they come back. Because when they say no to you, they really mean yes later. The other thing I learned is that not everybody is going to follow through with what they say they're going to do. So again, they have to prove to you. You have to help people move through the marketing plan. And the way that you do this is by teaching them how to do 4 case credits through retail and how to sponsor every single month. And they need to sponsor a couple of people every month, and then they've done 8 case credits personal. And if they do that and teach that, their business will explode and they will get to manager. But if they're hanging in there working with the wrong people, then it's not going to happen. Sometimes when you get to a position like supervisor, it might be a different set of people in your team that help you get to assistant manager, and it might be another new set of people that help you get to manager. It's not always the same set of people. You will keep 1 or 2 of them along the way, but if you keep looking back, working and trying to get the 2 or 3 people that helped you get to supervisor, if you keep looking back at those 3 and thinking they're going to be the ones that get you to manager, it's not going to happen. You need to remember the marketing plan. To get to manager, you need 15 to 25 people in your team. I mean, I have people saying to me, I'm not getting to manager, I'm not getting to manager. And then I say, well, how many people have you got in your team? And they'll say, I've got 4 people in my team. I'm like, well, that's why you're not getting to manager. You see, the only difference between you and a manager is 15 to 25 people. That's what I say to them. And then they say, yeah, but I can't recruit, nobody will listen, nobody will be interested, I've spoken to everybody, nobody's interested. And then I want to know stats. I'll say, I need to know how many people you've spoken to. I need to know how many people in the last 3 months you've shown the business to. I need to know how many people you've got through to the business presentation. I need to know your stats. This is how I would talk to somebody if they said to me, I've spoken to everybody, nobody's interested. You see, I was taught to show the business 6 times, at least 6 times a week in the form of a one-to-one. And then I get people who come to me and say they're not getting to manager, and then they give me 6 months stats, and they've shown the business 9 times in 6 months, or they've shown the business 11 times in 6 months. Or another case that I had was 21. One of my team did a one-to-one 21 times in 6 months, and then was complaining that they weren't getting to manager. And when I sent them off to do these stats, they come back to me and they don't need coaching. They know why they're not getting to manager, because they've just gone and done that exercise. They've counted how many one-to-ones they've done in the last 6 months. And because they know it's a low level, 21 in 6 months is a low level. I mean, even if you were doing 3 a week, in 6 months that would be 72. So from this call, if your business isn't where you want it to be right now, all you need to do is go back and measure your stats, and that will give you the answer. And then you just make a decision as to whether you're going to change the stat, because that's the thing that you can control. Because what I learned is it's all about new business. It's all about the new people that you're putting into your team. All of the company incentives are built on new business. So, successful people are people who will do what unsuccessful people won't. You see, I just thought successful people were naturally successful. I never really understood that to have the sorts of levels of success that people like Jane Leach and John Curtis have had, that they'd have to break through the pain barriers. I just assumed they were naturally successful. And successful people will do what unsuccessful people won't. But here's the thing, successful people don't like doing some of these things either, but they'll do them anyway. That was a major light bulb moment for me. You know, when you listen to people like Tim Henman, Andy Murray, you know, they have to do 600 practices in a morning at a tennis court of their serve. They absolutely hated it, but the reason they did that was because they want to win Wimbledon. So the bit they hated was getting up at 6 in the morning to go and practice 600 times how to serve. But that is what got Andy Murray winning Wimbledon. So the bit of getting up at 6 in the morning is the painful bit, but the joy is the day he wins Wimbledon. So we have to go through the pain to get the results. I also learned that those who make excuses and there are those who find a way, and that the more challenges we have in the business, the better coach we become. You see, when you've had the sorts of challenges that I've shared with you this evening, when I'm working with brand new people, I will never forget that pain in the beginning of my business. So when when they're complaining about the same challenges, I can relate, I can empathize, and I can support them through it. So if the business was a breeze for you, you wouldn't be able to relate to people. I mean, 90% of the people that you work with are going to have these challenges. And if you can relate to them, that's going to support them through. And at the end of the day, your biggest job is to keep your brand new team members with you. That's your biggest job. And that is about support. But you're only going to support the serious people. I also learned that it was about having some fun. It was about sticking to the tools. There was a time in the business where I veered off the tools, and that was a disaster. So all I used the QLS tools. I used the First Steps to Manager book. I used the QLS online.net for the training pods. Everything that we use is the QLS tool, and I found by fine-tuning and getting down to the basics of sticking to what we've been taught by the top people, then it works. So I just want to share a little bit. I actually got stuck in the business about 2.5, 3 years ago, and so I got to manager. I developed managers. I developed 4 frontline managers and other managers downline as well. So I was one manager off soaring. That was 2.5, 3 years ago. And I actually took about 8 months out of the business through personal reasons. And then I came back in at the beginning of 2013. And my own manager business had been doing over 300 open business. And then I developed all these managers, and then I took some time out, and then I came back in, and my own manager business had gone down to about 77 case credits, and the 77 case credit manager business is not bad, but it was a bit of a shock for me because I'd been doing like over 300 open business. So I came back in 2013 and decided that I was going to grow my open business. I'd got some managers in my business, some of them less ambitious than others, and I just decided to focus on building my open business. So that's basically what I've been doing for the last 2 years, is rebuilding my open business. And the way that I did this was focusing on the professional networking pin. And this is an incentive, in my opinion, that just isn't talked about enough. And actually, it is the pinnacle of our business. It is the catapult to success. So if you don't understand what that is, you need to go to the incentives brochure and read about it. It's basically recruiting 2 people a month. And if you do that for 12 months, you get the yellow suitcase. And I decided I was going to go for the yellow suitcase. It was a newish incentive, which only been in the company for the last 3 or 4 years, and I'd never achieved the yellow suitcase. So we get 12 months to do this, but I decided I was going to do it by the July. So this is January. The kickstart for me that year was the QLS Kickstart Day, which really rocketed me. I came away from that day and thought, right, this is it. I'm going to get my open business back up. And so I decided I was going to do this level 3, which is 24 people in 12 months, but I was going to do it by July. So I was going to do it in 7 months. My manager business was doing 77 case credits, and by June, just by going for that one incentive, by June, my open business was back up to 200. That's it. That's all you've got to do. Because in that time, I recruited all those people. In fact, I actually achieved the level 3 networking pin by the end of August, so I missed it by 1 month, but I still did it in 8 months, so I speeded up the process, and the results started to kick in by June anyway. And how I did it was by helping people move through the marketing plan, and that was the beginning of starting to develop new managers. So once I woke up to the fact that the professional networking pin was the way forward, that was what I started to teach. And as soon as somebody in my team joined, got to supervisor, planned for manager, as soon as they joined me and I could see they were ambitious, I just started focusing them on the professional networking pin. And that's basically how we've developed 5 frontline managers in the last 15 months, just by focusing on the professional networking pin. So when I'm working with a brand new person who tells me they want to get to manager, they want £2,000 a month, When they hit a roller coaster, when they start saying their business isn't growing, when they start saying it's not working, all I have to do is take them back to the professional networking pin. I'll say, right, where are you at with that? Because that's what's going to get you to manager, remember? And they'll say, oh, well, I've only recruited 2 people in the last 2 months. I'm going, well, you're too behind. You're too behind. That's why it's not moving. So that's all they've got to do is focus on the professional networking pin. And I really think that incentive is completely overlooked. So what I found with focusing myself on that and then focusing other people on that, the business just started to explode. And in that period of 2013, halfway into 2014, I had personally recruited about 60 people frontline into my business, because at the end of August that year, I decided to do the same again. I thought, right, I'm just going to do that again. I'm just going to recruit 24 people again, but I'm not going to take 12 months. I'm going to take another 8 months. So by the beginning or spring of 2014, I'd recruited so many people. I mean, but that is how you build a big business, by making sure you've created backup. Because I got my open business back up to just under 400 case credits. I'm not telling any of this to impress you. I'm just telling you this because this is what I've done. And it's not that impressive. I mean, to be honest, I'm just doing my job. And, you know, that's what we have to do. We have to do our job. And so many people don't do the job and then complain, like I did in the first year of my business, when my business isn't growing. I just want to help you understand how I would recruit 60 people. I'm still recruiting from my warm list. In fact, I'm having so much success with my warm list now. People that I spoke to before that weren't interested have come back, and new people on my warm list, that even like cousins that I've lost touch with, who I've re-met at family funerals and things like that. And because I'm having so much success, my warm list are paying much more attention to me now. My other big route for recruitment is people shopping, contact marketing, and local advertising. I've only actually, this is the truth, recruited 2 people through Facebook, and one of them has done nothing, and the other one sent the box back. So I've had no success in social media. Trying to prospect through social media actually did my head in, and I got so wound up with it, and I got so uptight that I wasn't going to be able to succeed if I didn't crack social media, that I actually had to walk away from it because it wound me up so much. And I thought, if I focus on this, I'm just going to get held back. So I walked away from social media and I went back to the routes that I'd been taught. And the routes that I've been taught work. And I still think that, apart from our warm list, people shopping is the best way, because you can just do it absolutely anywhere. So if you don't know how to do that, learn how to do it. In the first year of my business, I wouldn't do people shopping. I was too scared. And I used to walk around Cambridge for 2 hours, spend about £50 in the shops, come home thinking, oh, this people shopping's costing me a fortune. And then I thought, I've got to master people shopping. So find a way to master people shopping, contact marketing, because it really is an amazing way to build your business. So by focusing on the professional networking pin, we've just developed 5 new frontline managers, and 2 further managers have duplicated. So that works. And now we've got these new managers through. I've just created a leadership group where we're sharing the workload, and they are equal. You know, I've let go of any risk of creating a hierarchical business, and we're all managers now, so I just treat them as equal. I say to them, you're a manager, I'm a manager, we all know the same now. To be honest, there's not a lot more for you to know. Let's move this together. And what I've found is that's empowered them. So I've let go of needing to be the lead. I let them lead. I've let go of needing to be in the limelight. Instead, I'm putting them in the limelight. I've passed the baton. It's that old saying from Jim Rohn, be so busy giving recognition that you don't need it yourself. And honestly, I really love the fact that I just don't need the recognition, and I love giving them the recognition because they absolutely deserve it. The other thing that I did this time round with this set of managers was that I held the business a lot higher. I started to create the dream. I started to really show them how they could get the dream. I started to show them how they could be ambitious to achieve the CAR plan, the 100 Club, the networking pin, Eagle Manager. I started to hold the business higher. I started to believe it. I started to believe that I could show these people to get these bigger things, because the first set of managers that I recruited were not as ambitious, and I thought it was something that I'd done wrong, and probably there were aspects of things that I had done wrong, but now I couldn't make those mistakes again. I've got to lead these people to the top. So of those 5 frontline managers, and we've only just had the 5th one come through in October, 2 of them have already achieved the CAR plan, 1 of them's achieved 100 Club, 1 of them's just achieved Greece already, way ahead of time, 1 of them is just about to achieve Greece, Eagle Manager. So 1 of them is close to achieving South Africa. You know, it's so exciting when you work with people where you've built and instilled a belief in them that they can have the dream. So the last couple of years for me has been about massive action and building the dream, holding it high, and then passing the baton to show them how to do the same. And remember, when you're recruiting, your main job is not to teach these people. They can learn through the automated stuff that we've got. The main job you've got is emotionally keeping them with you, helping them through the roller coaster, believing in them before they believe in themselves. So I've built a massive belief in these leaders. They're unstoppable. They're so exciting to be around. And together we're building the dream. And all you've got to do is focus them on the professional networking pin, and that's how you'll get managers coming through. I've focused everybody I've worked with on the professional networking pin, but of course you'll understand not all of them have followed through with it, but I can't help that. That's going to be down to them and their work ethic. That's going to be down to them. But the ones that have followed through have come through to manager. So what I know is it absolutely works. And once they've got to manager, the world is their oyster. And not only that, as they're getting to manager, we're already focusing them on the bigger picture. You know, when they're coming through to assistant manager, we're starting to talk to them about Eagle Manager, starting to talk to them about chairman's bonus, starting to talk to them about the bigger picture. And it's generated a huge excitement in the team. And the more people that are achieving in the team, the more people in the team that believe it. Because when you bring it home to the team, they can see it happening on their doorstep. And that's really, really important, leading from the front. So I hope that's helped you. I'm happy to take a question or two if anybody's got any questions. I'll let Lucy MC that. But thank you very much for listening to me. Honestly, just go out there and make things happen. Make things happen for you and your family, because this business has been life-changing for us as a family. Over to you, Lucy.
Thank you so much for that, Cora. Honestly, every time I hear you, you're just so real. You're such a real, very, very humble, but very, very frank and honest person, and we really all do appreciate that massively. So I'll just give it a minute or so. Let me see what this question is that just came in. This question is, what do you say to people when you're prospecting people, when you're people shopping? So what's your kind of script that you use and introductions for starting to prospect people when you're out and about?
Oh yeah, I'll send you my script, Lucy, and you can pass it out. But basically, it's the same script, and it's one that I learnt. I learnt it at a network skills training from Maureen, the ADD of Milton Keynes. So it's her words that I learnt. I don't know where she learnt them from, but basically it's a copycat business. But it's still the same words that I use, and it goes like this. I'm walking in front of somebody in the middle of town, and I come right up against them, and I just say, "Excuse me," and now they stop, and they think I'm going to ask them directions, which is quite funny. And then I just say, "I know this is a really unusual approach," and then they're like nodding because they agree it is. So I say, "I know this is a really unusual approach, but I'm expanding my business. And I'm looking for some good people who'd be interested in what I do. I don't know what you do for a living." And some people will say to me, "Well, hang on a minute, what is it? What are you doing?" And then I'll share a little bit. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people just start chatting to me. and they start telling me what they do. It's amazing, amazing the amount of stuff people share with you that don't even know you. So if they say to me, oh, well, I'm on maternity leave, blah, 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 I'll say, oh, wow, okay. And then I get into conversation, I make friends, I ask questions, and before you know it, I'm having a friendly conversation over the next 5 minutes with somebody that I didn't even know 5 minutes ago. And then I say, listen, I don't want to stop you now. It's obviously you're in the middle of something. It's just a matter of exchanging contact details so that I can share some information with you. It might be for you, it might not. I don't know.
Brilliant. Thank you very
Sometimes,
much.
yeah, sometimes they'll say, what is it? And then I'll share a little bit, but I'll send you my script and then you can copy it out to the team.
Excellent. The next question is a very simple one. It's what is the network professional pin? But like you said before, if you go back and have a look in your incentives brochure, or ask your upline, or go on to Forever Knowledge, it's all over the place, the different incentives. So it's not really one that needs answering properly now. Has anybody got any other question? Oh, yes, there's loads underneath. Right, Cora, to recruit 2 people a month, what is your level of activity? How many phone calls and how many one-to-ones do you have to do?
Oh, that's a brilliant question. So the average, so the company average is to recruit one person, you have to do 6 one-to-ones. When I first joined, I measured my stats and I used to have to do 8 one-to-ones to recruit, so I was not as good as the company average. Now I probably only have to do, well, I know I only have to do about 3 one-to-ones to recruit one person. And to get 3 one-to-ones, I have to prospect about 20 people. So if I'm working on the cold market, that is, because the cold market is harder than the warm market. So you have to speak to 12 people to recruit one on the warm market, and if you're working cold, it's 24. And those are the stats that the company teaches, and those are the stats that work for me as well. The only thing is you get better. So where I used to have to do 8 one-to-ones, obviously I've halved that, and you have to do 3 or 4 now to actually recruit one person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true, and I think this is one of the problems often with people that they just simply aren't doing enough activity. We've got company stats there that all of the leaders have put forward over the past 37 years of being around, and you really have to just be very honest about your level of activity and are you doing enough to be actually recruiting. So know your stats as well, like Cora said before. Next one isn't quite a question. It's just to say, Cora, I love your honesty. Very helpful, especially focusing on the network professional pin. And huge congratulations on Sapphire. So that's from Emma Walker Smith. Has it sunk in yet?
No, I feel really nervous about it because it hasn't clicked in
Yeah,
because of adjustment day, so it's not even showing yet. So
right.
I feel really nervous.
Oh,
Yeah,
how
but yeah,
exciting.
really excited about getting Sapphire.
Well, I will look forward to Tuesday for you for official adjustment day figures. The next
Oh,
question is, once you get their number, do you call them, send them information, and if you send a video, which one do you prefer to send?
oh, that's a good question. I do call them, and then I have a qualifying call with them where I'll find out more and more and more about them. The thing that I use and teach is Alan Pease is audio. Alan Pease has got an audio called Questions Are the Answers, and that is how I learned to get into a really good conversation with people where you're finding out all about them. Questions Are the Answers by Alan Pease.
It's
So I'll
excellent.
have a 5-10 minute conversation with them using his theories to get them talking, and then I'll book some information sharing depending on the person. So if it's somebody that I've got a really brilliant feel about and I really, really want to work with them, I will just book a one-to-one. And if they're local, I'll meet with them, and if not, I'll do it online. But I'll do it live because I want to really, really work with them.
Yeah.
If they're a little bit weak or I'm not getting a good feel, then I'll send them a pre-recorded one-to-one. So I've actually recorded myself doing a one-to-one. And if you're going to use a pre-recorded link, what I've learnt is it has to be you. So my link works for me, but my link does not work for people in my team. So the people in my team, I've said to them if they want to use the link, that's fine, but they have to get bold and brave, and they've got to record their own. So if
Brilliant.
you're going to do a 5 minute video, you've got to record your own 5 minute video, but I don't use my 5 minute video. I actually send a one-to-one link.
Yep, that's brilliant. Next question is, how do you outline expectations to new starters in regards to your time and the commitment to them, and at which point do you decide if they are ready or not?
It's such a funny question. It's so funny, that question, because that was the thing I was so bad at. In the beginning, I didn't outline it at all, like zero. Now, oh my gosh, in the first planning meeting, now I just tell them exactly how it is.
Yeah.
So in the first planning meeting, they tell me they want to get to manager because I've just taken them through the marketing plan. They tell me they want £2,000 a month. So they've been really upfront about that. I'm going to be really upfront about what they've got to do to get that. And in the beginning, I never used to do that because I used to think it would scare them off. And now I
Yeah.
don't care if it scares them off, because if it scares them off, I haven't wasted all my time, because at the end of the day, they've got to get real. You can't get £2,000 a month without stepping out of your comfort zone. You can't get £2,000 a month without actioning. And the action is that business cycle.
Hmm.
So in the first planning meeting, I just tell them how it is. I say, look, okay, that's great. We can do that. £2,000 a month, no problem. This is what we're going to have to do. I need to hear from you every day. This is what I say to them. I need to hear from you every day. If I don't hear from you every day, that makes me really nervous, because I'm wondering what the heck you're doing. I need you to be in touch with me every day because I need to know what you're doing. We need to discuss your activity. I'm going to set your activity. We're going to work this together. I'm going to hold your hand, but you're going to be doing the activity. And if you're not in touch with me, then I'm worried because I'm not thinking the activity is happening. And then right at the first planning meeting, I say to them, these are the trainings I need you to be at. And this 4 case credit thing, this is a done deal. This is non-negotiable. If you want my time, you've got to do this 4 case credit thing. Is that okay? Is that fair? I am going to give them 100 hours of my time for free. I
Yeah.
say to them, I'm going to be your free mentor. You've got to deliver, and delivering is 4 case credits. I say to them, you could be earning £1,000 a month in this company, and all you've got to do is 4 case credits. You could be earning £10,000 a month in this company, and all you've got to do is 4 case credits. And that's why it's non-negotiable.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you there as well. I think, when you're quite new to the business, you can, like you said earlier, you can feel that you are going to lose people if you do set their expectations. But at the end of the day, I very much believe also that you are doing somebody an injustice if you don't be very honest with them from day one what the commitment level should be. Yes, it can go at
Oh,
their own pace, but if they want to hit those incomes, there's work going to have to be done. It's not a free ride at the end of the day, so I very much agree with that. Um,
Oh, if somebody joins the business to use the products and share them with family and friends and
yeah,
not really bothered about building an income, I don't have this conversation with them. I only have this conversation with people that want to switch careers, get to manager,
yeah,
build a lifestyle.
yeah. Next question. Well, you could talk about this one all day, but it's pretty straightforward. What's the best training to learn? The best way to recruit? First steps to manager QLS pods?
Oh, yeah. So we've kind of created our own checklist of the training pods that we send out to people, and you have to put them into a kind of favorites folder on the QLS and send them out in groups of 6, and that's what we do.
Yeah,
Um, in terms of prospecting, the best thing that's helped me is Andy Waring's CD, How to Make the Phone Your Friend. In fact, that didn't come out until I'd been in the business for 2 years. I don't know how I got to manager without that CD, because that
yeah.
CD completely turned my prospecting around. And
Mhm.
again, that's the main one that I teach, is the QLS training pods and Andy Waring's CD.
Yeah, that CD is available if people aren't aware of a brilliant app you can get for your phone, because everybody does have smartphones these days. If you install an app called Audio Boom, which is a free app, if you search Andy Waring within that app, you can then download that absolutely free and listen to it on the go, as well as lots of other brilliant little snippets of information that have been
Wow,
so helpful to me.
I never knew that. That's
Did you
amazing.
not? Audio Boom's awesome. You can then immediately text the pod straight to people, to your team members. So if somebody contacts you struggling with a particular area, you can send them one of Andy's podcasts by text, just so they can have some information there and then straight away. So it's such a good tool.
Wow, that
Um,
man's a genius. That man's a
Oh, he is.
genius.
Um,
Yeah.
Last question, because I know you've got to shoot off. If somebody never recruited anybody in his life and you say you would not give up on them, give them time unless they do 4 case credits, how would they do it without help?
Well, the thing is, what you've done is you've given them the help up front.
Yeah,
And if somebody is consistently doing 4 case credits and really wants to move forward but is just taking longer, that's absolutely fine. But what I would do with those people is I'd plug them into my 6 week rolling program, which happens in about 4 minutes' time at 8 o'clock every Sunday night. Um, I would plug them into the success day. I would plug them into a network skills training. I would get them coming to our team masterclasses. I wouldn't give up on them. I would believe in them, but I just can't wait for them
yeah,
because if we wait, then we slow ourselves down.
yeah,
So it's about making people feel good. But, you know, if somebody is consistently doing 4 CCs and wants it, but just taking longer, you just have to continuously tell them you believe in them and that their time will come. And the other thing is that you have to believe in them before they'll believe in themselves. But they've got to, in order for them to succeed, the bit that needs to change is them.
yeah,
They've got to step out of their comfort zone and they've got to come into their own. And if they take 6 years to step out of their comfort zone, that's absolutely fine by me. But I just can't give them every waking moment of my time because that's 6 years out of my life.
yeah,
So it's not that I don't believe in them, it's just that you have to allocate your time appropriately. And, you know, when I share this now, I would never have believed I would be saying this because I was the biggest Mother Teresa. But I had to change because my livelihood, my family's livelihood was at stake. And therefore, what was difficult for me in the beginning of my business, I don't find difficult now defining where to spend my time because
mm,
people respect me so much more now than they ever did in the beginnings of my business.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for that, Cora. We'll leave it there because I know you've got to shoot off and do your own webinar now. But the people who
Yeah,
are
thank you for
asking,
having me.
eh?
Thank you for having me on your
No
call. I
problem,
feel
no.
very honoured.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you, Jackie.
Okay,
I'd
see
be
you
nothing,
later. Thank
I'd be
you.
nothing
But
without you. Bye.
to those of you who are asking about Audio Boom, what I've just mentioned, I will post a link to that now on all of the different places where I do post the event information. So exactly where you've been tonight.